Hey guys, thank you for joining me this morning, evening, or night. We're going to do a practice with our feet. I feel like I neglect my feet quite often. I don't give it some attention when it needs it most. This is also helpful for those who have been diagnosed with plantar fasciitis. If you're having any kind of foot pain, it's always best to be seen by your provider or your doctor. So with that, we'll need a strap. If you don't have a strap, you can use a rope or a shirt. At the end of this video, in the comments, I'll post where I got this strap. It's pretty nice. I don't have to tie anything around. It has like their own little holes with wherever you want to stretch it at. It's really nice. And then we'll need a tension ball, at the very end of the class. If you don't have this, you can use a frozen water bottle or a can. It's always very helpful. I'll also post a couple options to get these on Amazon as well if you're interested in them. There is one that has 3 different balls, but it has 3 different tension settings on it. So it's depends on how sensitive your feet is and if you need to go deeper, that kind of thing. And then I'll post another one that's just with this one ball that doesn't have much to it for those of you that do have sensitive feet. So with that in mind, set your props to the side and meet me on your mat in child's pose. But instead of a regular child's pose, we're going to keep our toes tucked. And our big toes, or our heels, are going to touch or we're going to set our hips down on our heels, and we're just going to lengthen our back and setting our forehead on the mat. I want to start our practice on the floor, mainly because it's in the morning and you're just now getting up. Some people find it difficult to stand, let alone walk. So I want to ease on into this with a little bit of just working on getting it to where it doesn't hurt as bad or at all whenever you start getting around in the mornings or night. And child's pose is always a good starting point to focus our energy, bring our attention to our breath and our awareness. If at all, if this starts hurting your feet, you can come back into a regular child's pose with your toes untucked and setting your hips down, just like so. If you'd like as well, you can bring your knees together and still press back, letting your hips rest on your thighs. You can still feel that stretch in your toes and your feet. So bringing your attention to maybe the lengthening of your back, your shoulders. I know it's not our focus for this class, but it's always nice to be aware of everything that's happening in your body. What feels good, what doesn't feel good. How can I make it better, or how can I lay off a little bit because it's hurting. If your knees are together and your ribs are resting on your thighs, go ahead and come up onto your forearms. Bring your hips and your feet in line with each other, giving about a forearm length's worth in front of you. Press back and come into a yoga squat, and then lift your toes. And then we'll just roll back down, stretching our feet. And then inhale, coming up, pushing back, then lifting our toes. Setting them down and rolling back out. There is no rush or quickness in how you do this. This is just a feel-good class. So there is no depth of where you have to be. We'll take one more round here, just waking up all parts. And when you are in that yoga squat, stop here and just bring your toes down and lift them up. Up, down, lift, and lower. Try to see if you can spread your toes apart from each other. If they're feeling a little bit fatigued, that's normal. Very rarely in any kind of practice do we focus mainly on our feet. At least in my practice, I don't necessarily focus on my feet. So mine are pretty fatigued. Alright, come into a tabletop. Untuck your toes. Leave enough room to gently set your hips between your feet. And bring the palms of your hands back behind your toes. This is good for a hip stretch, but also our feet, because obviously they are going backwards. And when do we ever have our feet behind us? So this is a really good stretch for that. If it's too much for you, go ahead and just come out a little bit. You can, if you have your block accessible or near you, you can always grab your block, set it behind you, and lift your pelvis up a little bit, but you can still see and still feel that engagement of your legs and your feet. And we'll just pause here for a moment. And of course, if you want more into your practice, then you can lean onto your elbows. And if you need more, then you can lay on your entire back. And you can even rub a little bit of your foot if you'd like. Just a little bit of the arches. Kind of like I'm sorry that this is a little uncomfortable and a little different, but it's going to be good for it in the long run. When you're ready, go ahead and lift your hip up a little bit and bring your right leg in front of you. This is where you'll need your strap. And bring the strap around the arch of your foot. Lengthen up through the back and flex your foot and then extend it. Go as slow as you are able to. When you're ready, just press that strap away from you and keep it there, like you're pointing your toes. And just do a little bit of pulsing, not completely going all the way back, just enough to be able to pulse it a little bit. Exhale, go ahead and bring the strap, pull the strap towards you. And stretch, you can feel that stretch in your heels and your calf. Exhale, take the strap off. Lift your hip a little bit and bring it back into that reverse child pose. And then stretch out to your opposite leg. Take that strap back out. Wrap it around your foot. Lengthen up through your back. And we'll begin to flex and extend our foot. Maybe feel the difference between how this foot feels as opposed to the other one. It's also good for your hamstrings. Your hamstrings are tight. Okay. On your exhale, just point your toes away from you and hold it there. And then we'll do our little pulses. by not fully extending or flexing. And then go ahead and bring your toes pointing back at you and just hold it there. Good job on your exhale. Release your foot and take that strap off. And bring both of your feet out in front of you. And bring your toes to point behind you. Maybe see if you can stretch from your hands and take them back behind you and use your hands as a strap instead. When you're ready, bring your feet onto the mat. Kind of just thump them on the ground, kind of just wake them up a little bit more. And then we'll just rise into our mountain top pose. Bring your feet about hips width distance, and we'll just lift our heels. If you need a wall, you are welcome to it, of course, for that stability. Strengthening the arches of our feet, as well as strengthening our calves. There are so much nerves in our feet. There are tons that are linked to a lot of the ways of how we're feeling. Could be headaches, nausea, any of those things. The next time you come across lifting up your heels, just keep it there, hold it still. Maybe see if you could balance enough to lift your toes from on one foot, then back down, lifting the other toes on the opposite foot. Lifting and lowering as we opposite. Kind of a good balance challenge. Okay, this is where we're going to need our tension ball. So if you have it, bring it onto your mat. Make sure your other props are out of the way. Bring it to start at where your heel starts, and then just roll it to the palm of your foot, and you can see your toes separating. We're just going to gently roll our foot onto this. This is one of those ones where you can just do every morning. If you got to choose any of the poses that we did today for our feet, I think this one would be a lot better, just because you're stretching and you're releasing all that tension in your foot here immediately, as opposed to just staying in a certain pose. Make sure you put a slight bend into the standing leg for more balance. And if one spot feels more tight and tense to you, you can just keep it there. You don't have to keep rolling if one spot is just infuriating and it feels good for it to be on. Just put a little bit more pressure on that part. Maybe bring the ball to the pad of your foot and just do a little bit of a pressure point. Acting like you're going to take a step but then come out of it. Kind of like you're squishing the ball from underneath you. Good job. Inhale, take your foot off the ball, just bring it out in front of you and just do a little bit of rolls. And set that foot down and we'll just go to the other side, the other foot. It's normal if one foot is a lot tighter than the other. Some reason my left side is always the weaker one, probably because I'm right-sided. So the left one is always just as stressed or more tensed. Making sure your back is lengthening and your core is engaged as well. It also will help with your balance if you're not using a wall. You are also welcome to put on some music if you'd like, or if you just like being aware of what your foot is doing and how it feels and how you feel afterwards, that's totally fine as well. And you don't have to be standing to do this either. You could use a chair and have it roll as well, especially if it's really sensitive and it's still painful for you to stand or walk. Sitting in a yoga chair or any kind of chair for that matter will be good for it as well. Alright, bring the ball up to the pad of your foot and just put a little bit of pressure. Good job. Bring that foot straight out in front of you and do some little bit of rolls. Good job. Set that foot back down. Bring our ball, our water bottle to the other foot. And just see if you can grip it just a little bit and set it back down. Grip it and set it back down. If you're not able to grip your water bottle, because I imagine it would be super hard, go ahead and get a shirt or something that's around, or even your strap, and see if you can just grip it and pick it up. Do it about 4 more times. Last one here. Good job. And we'll switch it to the other foot for our gripping action. Do 4 more here. Last one. Good. Good job. All right. Move your tension ball out of the way. And to end the class, let's just do a little bit of a Shavasana. So inhale, raise your arms up to the sky. Exhale, folding down. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, bend at the knees. Walk to the top of your mat into plank pose. Bend at the elbows to your chaturanga. Untuck your toes. Lifting your chest up through your upward dog. Untuck your toes. Come into your downward facing dog. Sitting in our downward facing dog here. They do a walk your dog. Also good for those feet. Bend at the knees, jump to the top of your mat. Bend at the knees and slowly work your way back up. We'll do one more at your speed. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. Inhale, up. Exhale, all the way down. Bend at the feet, step or jump back to your plank pose, chaturanga, upward facing dog, and then our downward facing dog. Bend at the knees, jump to the top of your mat, and slowly rock all the way up. Rocking your shoulders back behind you. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I will post the work on the straps and the tension ball if you don't have one or if you would like one and want to explore it a little bit more. In the meantime, our next session or class will be advanced leg action and a little bit of booty work. So I'll see you guys next time.